Hey guys, Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. We want to thank you so much for all the support you've given us here on the network. And if you want to see what we're up to outside of the station, please follow us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at MikeMmedia and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. You can follow the good brother Alex Mercado on Twitter at Mercado21Alex and on Instagram at Mercado2121. The lovely Nicole Mancha is on all social media platforms at Typing When Tipsy. You can follow the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Our pop culture show, The Good Brothers, on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Our true crime shows on Instagram at Murder, Mysteries, and More. And of course, like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all our videos on YouTube.com/Mike Mercado 2333 or by searching Mercado Airwaves Network. We play video games on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And of course, you can support our network by finding a tier just for you, whether you want early access, you want to be part of polls, you want to win contest prizes, by visiting us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And we really appreciate it wherever you get your favorite podcast to like, rate, review, and share us. And please spread the word. For the good brother, Alex Mercado, for the lovely Nicole Mancha, I'm Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for all the support you've given us here on the network.
Welcome in, friends, to the Good Brothers Quarantine Files edition. I'm the good brother, Mike Mercado, joined by the good brother himself, Alex Mercado.
How's it going?
Good brother, I hope you're doing fine in quarantine. I know you are on lockdown, keeping an eye on things over at Casa Mercado. How's everybody doing over there?
So far, so good. No one's died.
Yet. That's the key word to that is yet. But the good brother and I are here to keep you guys company as we obviously we're doing the respect and we're doing our part of social distancing, doing our part of responsibility during this COVID-19, aka coronavirus pandemic. And because the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois is in place shelter, essentially a lockdown, we're respecting that and doing our part with people and platforms, good brother. But that doesn't mean that we can't have some fun. But before we get to all that, you haven't had a chance to be on the airwaves. How have you been handling this entire craziness before we start our first episode of the Good Brothers Quarantine Files?
You just got to look at it positively and take the time to recharge and catch up on some fun stuff that we're going to talk about today. There's, panicking really won't help at the moment. So as long as you support the people that have to work by not going outside, you're doing your part.
Absolutely, good brother. And we will show our support for any small businesses, anybody who's been affected by this. Please let us know. We will give shout outs. We will put it in our social media, which you can follow us all over social media. The Good Brothers on Twitter at Mercado21Alex and on Instagram at Mercado2121. I'm on Twitter at MikeMmedia and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. Also, make sure you're following us on twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. We're playing video games there while everybody's staying at home. We're going to play Doom Eternal, Resident Evil 3, and Animal Crossing, all those coming down the pipeline. Good brother, you ready to have some fun?
Let's do it.
All right, so while you've been in containment and you've had to make a jailhouse-esque type of workout, Jim, you came up with an idea for prison yard workouts. You have come up with a new idea while we're doing this to give the great audience of Mercado Airwaves of the Good Brothers some kind of fun and also a chance for you to get angry at each other. What did you come up with?
So I figured we would do a list of top shows to watch during this quarantine. So as of today, we're going to do top five 30-minute sitcoms.
Absolutely, right. And this is going to be something along the series that we're going to continue at least for the springtime, maybe until summer when we know we're kind of past the flu season, hopefully, when all this is finally done and over with. And I think we have a lot of good things. You and I had 4 arguments within this argument about what qualifies, what doesn't qualify. So we have a lot of content that we could put down over the next few weeks, huh?
Well, you were quite confused when I said sitcom. You assumed that meant cartoons, which would be a whole separate list.
And I am still upset that you won't let me put 7 of the things I want on there in the top 5 list, but we'll get into that into a different day, good brother. Hey, look it. All right, a man has needs in a time when he's been quarantined, okay? So, good brother, you ready to get started? I think this week, because it was your idea, we're going to let you have the benefit of being last, taking the last shot, if you will. So I will start off, and let's see if we did the math right, and it ends up ending on you. I will start off with my number 5 top sitcom, 30-minute sitcom to watch. And I go with a hometown show, Married with Children. Now, good brother, the reason I went with this one, and you'll notice in my list, is there's a lot of different things I feel you could take from a 30-minute sitcom, from Curb to all these different ones that might be on our list. But what Married with Children does best than anything is it's the original raunchiness, and it's also family-oriented raunchiness. It has kind of this warmness to it. It almost if Family Guy wasn't so meth out of its mind. If it had some type of a moral compass, you would have
the first few seasons.
Absolutely, you would have Married with Children. And I think Married with Children for 30 minutes, and in this case 24 minutes on Netflix, it is something that you would really benefit out of watching and not take so seriously, but also have a storyline, having some fun little nods throughout different seasons and inside jokes. And of course, if you're from the great city of Chicago, a lot of great local references. So at number 5 for me is Married with Children.
Love that pick. It almost made my list. Al Bundy is a god. Like you said, another hometown show, which is always fun to see them rooting for our teams. He's a Bears fan, he's a Cubs fan, he's a Bulls fan. Like you said, it's just enough raunchy without hitting that over-the-line unwatchable.
Now, what do you have at number 5, good brother?
So my number 5, I went a little more wholesome. My favorite 90s, early 90s, late 80s, which was Full House.
Now, why'd you go with that one?
So I went with Full House because you know me, I'm a huge fanatic. John Stamos for life. It was kind of I feel like the original of those early 90s cheesy. Like, it was so cheesy, it was good, and it still holds up. Bob Saget, David Coulier, Lori Loughlin. Like, there were so many good actors that came out of this. The Olsen twins. Obviously, Fuller House wasn't as good. It kind of didn't come with the times, but I feel like for its time, this was the best at what it was doing, and it was cheesy 90s gold.
Why Full House instead of, let's say, Family Matters?
See, Family Matters came close, and the whole Chicago thing almost helped. I feel like Full House was just, like I said, it knew exactly what it was, and it stayed there. Family Matters kind of got a little goofy toward the end with the cloning and the time machines, and I do like the evil doll, but I like this a little better because it was normal cheesy, not sci-fi cheesy.
Very good. I think that's a strong number 5, and a lot of people from our
early 90s show.
If not, it has a really good chance. And then, you know what, at the end of this, I think we could geek out of our back in the day of the UPN and the Channel 50 Sunday night block. We'll get into that at the end of this, good brother.
Just missed it, honestly, was Roseanne.
You know what? Roseanne was definitely on there. Roseanne and The Nanny, Frasier. But we'll get into all that at the end of that. Okay, good brother? Let's go through the list. So at least we know those are them.
Shows aren't going to make the list.
Absolutely. Now, for number 4 for me, and this is one that is truly one of my favorite shows. I've watched it time and time and time again. It has really hit the zeitgeist. And at one point in the mid 2000s and in the tens and the odds, it was a show that everybody loved. And I'm talking about Scrubs. You know, I can't do this on my own. I'm no Superman. This is one of those shows that really took the heart of really strong show. You know, and at the time when we had House and Bones and all these different shows coming off of ER, Scrubs was the one that had the most heart, which is crazy to say. It had characters we loved. It had growth while it also stood silly. And it's one of those shows that really, it's not just part of its era, and it has a lot of its era built into it, but it's a time capsule of it in the best of ways. It represents its time. It also represents its workforce, where, you know, a lot of different shows and a lot of different times of era and media really glorify a job. I think Scrubs was the first one that made it like, yeah, it's fun, and you do get close, and you do have these bondships because you spent so many years, but it's hard and it hurts, and you do build relationships that end, and ones that you hated end up becoming best friends, and it's a wonderful, wonderful series. I have Scrubs as number 4.
Yeah, no, I definitely love Scrubs. It's my favorite medical show next to House, especially for me. 30 minutes has one of the best bromance, has one of the best mentor-mentee relationships. It's so solid and heartfelt, honestly, and I'm upset it didn't make my list, but like I said, there's a lot of shows that didn't make our list.
And the fact that you just went, I mean, I could just go, ego, or like, do my brown bear. Like, I love Scrubs. JD and Turk are some of the best characters ever. Scrubs at number 4. Good brother, what do you have at number 4?
I have Blackish, which I think is the newest show on our list.
Yes.
And what I love about Blackish, it came out at the time, because Modern Family almost took the spot. But Modern Family, again, any show on our list towards the later 8, 9 seasons, it loses a little bit, and that's understandable because that's how you know the show is running out. But what I love about Blackish, it was this new wave of the Goldbergs, Blackish, Fresh Off the Boat. It kind of started the new sitcoms of our modern time, like the 2010s and beyond. It has a message to say, and it shows what that message for, again, a wealthy African-American family living in California and what they go through. And obviously, Lawrence Fishburne is God, so love it.
Why Blackish over Modern Family?
I like the message it sends back.
It's
I
true.
think it has more to say. It's more substance to it. I think Modern Family is just jokes, and it's fun. And there's some stuff, but I feel like Blackish handles it better, and they get to talk about more things just by them being African Americans and minorities.
Where do you think the George Lopez show has impactful-wise when it comes to the legacy when a type of shows like this?
Oh, you read my mind, Michael. The reason it doesn't make the list to me is I think it ages terribly. I think if you're a modern Hispanic family, there's a lot better shows out there to like kind of relate to and look at, which is like the ones on Netflix are doing very well. Even the new Gabriel Iglesias show is doing better. It doesn't age well. It doesn't really have a message for Hispanics in the time, and it's a little goofy. It really gets out there. The stories are a little far-fetched, so I don't think it holds up as much. I love George Lopez in the comedies, but the show definitely hasn't aged well for a message I wanted to send.
So far on our list, at number 5, I have Married with Children. The Good Brother Alex has Full House. At number 4, I have Scrubs. And at 4, The Good Brother has Blackish. Now, Good Brother, I just want to say thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. That's right, Good Brother. At number 3, I have The Golden Girls. And, you know, I know when we got on, when we first got on the call, you kind of made fun of me. And this is definitely one that grew in my heart as I've grown older, and especially after living with the lovely Nicole Mancha. There is no doubt in my mind that, there's just something about Dorothy and Rose and Blanche and Sophia, and it honestly, Good Brother, out of all the shows on here that we've had, and this is obviously a great list, it's the one that really portrays friendship the closest to what their age demographic is. And they go through modern day problems. And they, for me as a 30-year-old man watching these, middle-aged grandma women in the, late 80s, early 90s, it was relevant and it makes you think, and it was funny, and the jokes were always on point, and nobody touches Betty White. So Golden Girls to me at number 3.
Yeah, I love Golden Girls, and it came on right before Saved by the Bell on mornings on TBS. A little, I haven't gone back to watch it like you have, so I think that's why it doesn't even crack my list, but I can appreciate the Golden Girls and the clips, and I get why it's such a big, now it's like very pop culture like the Golden Girls, so that's fun. But definitely missed that by a little bit.
And I also think what's really cool about our list, it's like there's a lot of variety in our list. And this is definitely the oldest show on the list, not just with the cast, but actually when it was filmed. What do you think about shows like Cheers and MASH? I adore MASH, Good Brother. I love Cheers. So many great actors and actresses came out of that show. How do you feel about those shows, those 80s sitcom, quote unquote sitcoms?
Well, obviously, it's a personal list. Like, we might do a list of the best just to say the best, but this is more of a personal, what people maybe our age, or if you like my style or my style, which is interesting. We have 10 different shows on a list. That's very unheard of for us. I'm surprised we didn't have a crossover of sorts. But those shows, I think, are great in memory, but I'd have to go back and watch to really break down the seasons and the storylines. Same with Frasier in that list, where I wasn't as into it as I could be now, so I think now would be a good time to go back and watch it. But at the time, you know it by clips, you know it by episode specifically.
I absolutely love Frasier, and we'll get into that in just a little bit because I think it pertains to one of your picks. So we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like, MASH is one of those shows that, like, when it came out, you knew it was 2 a.m. That's how I remember MASH. And Cheers was almost the same. You're like, okay, we're getting close to bedtime now. Cheers is on.
I'm going to tell you a story about MASH really fast, and then we'll move on to your number 3 pick. A funny story about MASH, and this is when you know how it transcends just good medium, it was like you said, 2 a.m. We knew that's what it was time on Fox on a Saturday night. And they had one episode where a patient came in, and they put a clock on the side, and they had X amount of time to save him. And then they showed that there was also like debris and stuff falling near the tent. And I was probably 12. And it was one of the first moments I could recollect where I'm like, I saw beyond just it's a television show. Like, I saw kind of like this art form being made. I'm like, this was television in the late 80s that they were doing this type of suspenseful stuff that was so ahead of its time that now became an everyday episode of House or Bones or, Chicago PD or, Chicago ER, all these different things. And I really like MASH, and I think we definitely will do a deep dive into that. But Good Brother, I went...
Yeah, MASH definitely a Hall of Famer.
Definitely a Hall of Famer. Now, I went on one end of the spectrum when it came to the oldest shows when it comes to this list. You came at number 3 with a very modern-day classic that I have very mixed emotions about. What is your number 3 sitcom in a live-action 30-minute format?
So my next 3 are definitely more popular and modern, but they're the shows I enjoy the most. So they're the 3 shows I made the list about, which is number 3 with How I Met Your Mother. There was a time where it probably would have been number 1 beside the last season, and I don't even hate the last season. I think it's one of the most realistic love shows there is when it comes to whether you're single or out there mingling or in a long-term relationship. I think it does the best job handling all that, or at least one of the best jobs. I like the way it handles work. I like the way it handles your mid to late 20s and your early 30s. And it tackles friendship. It tackles, your demons. And I really like the way the show goes. Ted Mosby's relatable. Marshall's relatable. Barney starts relatable and gets a little unrelatable, which is why the show drops to number 3. But I can appreciate the aspect of this is your mid-20s and you don't know what you're doing, but you still have to do something.
How I Met Your Mother, the first 6 seasons, to me, might be the best 30-minute sitcom ever produced on television. It was funny. It was creative. It had heart. It made you sad. It made you cry. You lived through a lot of those moments yourself. I always said it was what Friends always wanted to be in the 90s, or the equivalent of Friends in the late 2000s and then 2010 moving forward. Where it lost me was once we got to the later seasons and it had to become a steroid version of the show. It had to become a commercialized version of the show, and not in a bad way. You have to get commercialized. My number 1 got commercialized, but the difference was it didn't lose what I felt was the spirit that How I Met Your Mother garnered the first 6 seasons. What Lily and Marshall go through in the first 4-season arc is heart-wrenching, it's uplifting, it is beautiful television. Ted Mosby, for the longest time, is such a great character and such a great underdog until you realize that he really never, as much as he loses, he always comes a big different time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my biggest problem looking back at the series opposed to living through the series. When you live through the series, it was an amazing ride for the most part. I think looking back at it, we kind of look back and I'm like, yeah, Ted was never really a loser. He was always with a beautiful woman, always had a job that he liked, and then getting to his dream job. Every dumb decision he ended up making still kind of worked out for him, and even when it didn't, it's like, that was my issue with, and then I don't even want to get into Neil Patrick Harris, who did become a star out of this. But I totally get why at number 3, the impact of How I Met Your Mother had in culture, definitely it earns its spot on that.
Yeah, and it's different because when you watch it as a 21-year-old and then as a 27-year-old, I'm the opposite. I actually really do enjoy Ted's run because, like you said, it's not as bad as he always wants it to be, but I think that's all of us that are a little dramatic and a little bit like the world is ending, and it's really not. But I think it's fun to see that actually in a person being like, well, we are all a little dramatic, and we all do think, I'll never get over this lover, I'll never get over losing this, and then you notice, wait, you do actually, and you're probably better than ever.
Now, why do you think you put How I Met Your Mother at 3 and you don't have, let's say, Parks and Rec? I don't even think that's a good representation. What would you say is the How I Met Your Mother, like, let's say New Girl or one of those type of shows? What was it about How I Met Your Mother that made it successful in that kind of area of in front of a couch or a group of friends in a bar compared to the other ones?
Well, because my number 2 will be its counterpart, but I'd say acting.
Okay.
If you look at this cast alone, this cast is all A-listers. Neil Patrick Harris, Colby Smulders, Josh Radnor, Alyssa Hannigan, Jason Segel. Bob Saget's the voice. Like, those are all A-list celebrities. Maybe Josh Radnor not, but everyone else. Marvel Universe, Neil Patrick Harris, constant film franchises for Hannigan, and Jason Segel is probably one of the best actors up there.
No, it's true. It was, you talk about, yeah. It definitely was the Emmy loved when it came to that section for the longest time. But good, How I Met Your Mother, a good spot at number 3. So far,
It tells the best story of love and friendship, in my opinion.
yeah.
One of the best stories, because again, there's 2 more.
And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But at number 5, I have Married with Children, and The Good Brother has Full House. At 4, I have Scrubs. Good Brother has Blackish. At 3, I have The Golden Girls. The Good Brother has How I Met Your Mother. And at number 2, Good Brother, I'm going to tell you a story all about how my life got flipped and turned upside down, because we are going to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, to me, this is the most fun show on my list. This is a goofy show. You let your hair down. You want to binge 7 episodes, and one of them might make you cry, but the other 6 are just going to be super funny. This is it. You get to see one of the best actors, fine-tuning his craft. And also just showing why he got to the dance by his pure energy and the chemistry. And you get to see some of the fixtures of pop culture moving forward with Uncle Phil and Carlton and just the Carlton. And I think the Fresh Prince in that era of that type of comedy, it's the best that we had of its time. And a lot of it obviously had to do with Will Smith. But I love the Fresh Prince. I think in an era with Boy Meets World and Saved by the Bell, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the cool one. And it was the one we all could say we enjoyed. Nobody ever says, I hate the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, you know what? I don't hate it. I think it's a little overrated as the years go on. Will Smith's great, and he's, he captures everything he's in. I know you hate him in Aladdin, but I think he's great. It's just, I think there's a lot better goofy shows out there. And, I watch the reruns, and it's just, without anything that Will Smith's not necessarily in, doesn't always hit. It's fine. You can only hear so many fat jokes, I guess, from, Jeffrey to Uncle Phil, but it's fine. I happen to think it's very overrated.
That's really funny. I truly think it's a pure show. To me, I think that's the one thing about my entire list. It's the only pure show that's just joy. It's, even in its most heavy moments, that they're going to pull on the other side. That just like Family Matters and just like Full House and The Nanny, and we could talk about it around here, those shows. So do you think Roseanne and those were better fixtures of the ABC, Thank God It's Friday, TGIF moments?
Yeah, I truly do, because at the end of the day, beside Will Smith's character, there's not a lot to connect to.
You don't think Uncle Phil, for a lot of Americans, taking in somebody and that's a family member and introducing them to your family, and we saw that with Family Matters and Full House. We've seen it done in television. Roseanne. So what was it to you that maybe Roseanne hit better than, let's say, Fresh Prince?
Because we saw real versions, the way he did those episodes, it was real. No offense, how did Big E say it on the New Day pod? It's, I don't have an uncle that's that wealthy and lives in Bel-Air. That's not real to me. And I think that shows, and no offense, even Will Smith's a little unrealistic, where as in these other shows taking these kids, you're like, oh, that I can see that happening. I've seen that happen, compared to, okay, well, this is a fantasy and it's funny and it's cool, but after that, is it really one of the best shows? There's a lot better out there.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think it'd be really fun when all this settles down. That maybe what you and I could do for the Patreon, we'll watch an episode, some of the good and bad episodes of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because if nothing else, they're an easy watch, which I think is really, really also I think about the benefit of the show. It's really easily digested.
Yeah, if we did an easy watch, I think it'd be a very different list. I happen to really stick on the stand of, I think it's one of the most overrated played shows out there. And I think it's very dug into way deeper than it actually is, in my opinion. I think it's very overrated. It's not as deep as it really wants to be, and it has more bad than good episodes.
Very interesting points from the Good Brothers, maybe even controversial. And speaking of hot takes, I might have a hot take, because what do you have at number 2, Good Brother?
Now, I almost left it off the list because I feel like it should automatically be the best show of all time because, the money. But I felt bad, so I was like, okay, number 2 is a good spot because Friends is my number 2. I mean, we don't really have to say much why it is. It's the most expensive show, according to HBO. It has the most A-listers and A-lister side characters. It's it is the 30-minute sitcom to end all 30 sitcoms. Out of 10 seasons, they had maybe a half a bad season. It's fun. I like the way it tells the friendship story throughout the years, and we can all relate to that. Obviously, finding love in close by areas makes more sense to me. I mean, it's Friends. Like, what else are we gonna say? Like, if the fact that Friends isn't on your list is a travesty, Mike.
Well, here's the reason why Friends isn't on my list. One, I cannot stand Roz and Rachel. There is nothing more annoying on television. In the moment, I was 13 years old when the series finale happened. I hated Roz and Rachel. That being said, Monica and Chandler, Phoebe, and obviously Joey, like it is the cast is phenomenal, and at their own, Chandler and Rachel, Ross and Rachel are great. That relationship killed me because it almost felt like the wrestling story that never wanted to. It was the John Cena and Randy Orton of television. We just got it over and over and over again. And at one point in real life, like even How I Met Your Mother, you just move on at one point. You just move on.
Do you?
And hence why How I Met Your Mother had such a horrible series finale. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
It had the best series.
Arguably, it had the most, again, fan-friendly and deserved happy ending. It earned that right to kind of just go out in the way we all wanted it to go out. I think long-lasting, its impact is much better necessarily than a episode-by-episode basis. I will say this, though. I think episode to episode, it's a very all-right series. It's good. It's solid. I think the strongest point for Friends is the bangers of episodes are so great, are so memorable, are so quotable that on its own puts it on its own pedestal. You have to recognize that. I mean, the Thanksgiving episode, it's so classic. Like there are so many. Pivot. Like you got to give it its due. Like you just got to give it its due. I may have my issues with it personally, but objectively speaking, Friends is as close to a perfect series as it gets.
Especially for a 30-minute sitcom to go 10 seasons at the time and have these characters. I think it literally is a perfect show. Like, I only put it number 2 because I think my number 1 is better, to me, personal. But I think Friends is the best 30-minute sitcom ever made and probably will forever be. Just like The Simpsons and 30-minute animated sitcoms.
Why is this better than, let's say, Third Rock from the Sun, Frasier, or Mad About You, or Ellen's Show, or any of these other huge shows that were on NBC? Why did Friends hit the way it did, and why do you love it much more? Because personally, I adore Frasier. To me, Frasier was smart. It was funny. You don't miss with Kelsey Grammer.
I think here's the difference. Those shows have 1 to 2 A-listers. This one has 6, and the supporting cast is full of A-listers also. It comes down to acting. Actors make anything good. And I think it came down. That's why Fresh Prince had 3 people we really wanted to see. This show has 6 on top of 12 back characters.
And you know what's interesting is Frasier and Friends had their series finales on the same week.
Yeah, and I'm sure which one did.
They both broke records. You don't have to be a jerk to Kelsey Grammer. Hey, show some respect to Beast, okay? Well, we have come down to the final slot in our top 5 sitcoms in a live action format, 30 minutes here on the Quarantine Files on the Good Brothers. I'm Mike Mercado, the Good Brother Alex Mercado. We are doing our best to stop COVID-19 the best way Mercados can, and that is by playing video games and talking shit. Good Brother, here is the list. At number 5, I had Married with Children. You had Full House. At number 4, I had Scrubs. You had Blackish. At number 3, I had The Golden Girls. You had How I Met Your Mother. At number 2, I had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You had Friends. And at number 1, the show that you have to binge watch during these quarantine times is Seinfeld. Talk about a show that just implemented everything that is cringe, that is laugh out loud funny, that is thought-provoking, that is great for second-time viewing. It's great conversation. And here's the big thing. It's another time capsule. It is the 90s to a T. It was serious, but also didn't take itself serious. To me, Seinfeld is the perfect 30-minute show. They didn't miss. Even at its worst episode, you would find a redeeming quality. There is, to me, and here's the funny thing. The worst part about Seinfeld is the guy it's named after. And that's telling you something about one of the greatest comedians of all time. Seinfeld at number 1 for me.
I love Seinfeld. Seinfeld was my number 6. I watch it daily still. I kind of broke my picks into categories, so it came down to my number 1 or Seinfeld. And so I had to put in number 6 because I personally think my number 1 is the best 30-minute sitcom of all time that will remain for a very long time. But Seinfeld, like you said, is a time capsule of the 90s. Talk about great acting. 2, 3 super A-listers on that cast to start off. What else are you going to say? It's one of the funnier and smarter TV shows we've talked about.
What is the favorite episode of yours of Seinfeld? I mean, our household watched it. Obviously, anybody in Chicago who didn't have cable growing up in the 90s watched nothing but The Simpsons and Seinfeld. The Bet's a great one. The Bet is a great one. I love the golf clubs with the JFK golf clubs and Kramer's
Baltimore hat. They're all good. It's like 95% good. Every show we talk about has a rough season, which makes sense. You're on for 10 seasons, you know.
I think Seinfeld's worst thing is probably a series finale. But even a series finale, as time has gone on, you're kind of like, yeah, it's kind of funny though. They were, yeah.
Sopranos to me.
Yeah. At least you did get to see an ending, at least in that one. Go, brother.
Well, no.
What? Good.
Sopranos ending, because I think, what else would you expect? It's the mob. I don't need much more, and we have a movie, and I like Seinfeld. It's how else are you going to end it? You know, especially with these people.
Ooh, maybe top 5 series finales. We'll get into that someday. Good, brother. What did you have at number 1 to watch and binge watch during these quarantine times?
I had The Office.
Talk to me. Tell me why.
Well, what's funny is I thought before I watched when The Office was actually on that it was overrated and it couldn't be that funny, and I talked so much smack about it. And then 2 years ago, I watched, and then I watched again, and then recently I watched it again. The Office is the funniest, the smartest, and the most realistic 30-minute sitcom that we have on this list. It tells love the best. It tells redemption the best. It tells almost every story the best out of this whole list.
I think The Office is probably the funniest modern day show, and this is where a conversation I want to get into with you is Parks and Rec is such a close second. I mean, that show to me is much more, it's less cringe funny and much more funny on the writing. I don't necessarily know if the acting is as good because there's John Krasinski and is it Robin Wilson? And, they're just, Dwight, Steve Carell. I mean, but, obviously Steve Carell, but, that entire cast, the chemistry and what the feel of the first few seasons of the newness of it. And obviously we didn't really know about the UK version of The Office. There was something like a novelty towards it. It does cringe the best. It definitely does that. When it comes to, that time period of people trying to do humor, it did do cringe the best.
I love the cringe factor because that's how real life is. It's uncomfortable. It's like a car crash. You don't want to look at it. I think the writing is the best, especially since most of the writers were actors on the show. I think it tells love stories the best. I think it tells every single character has an arc.
Mindy's great in it. Yeah, Novak is.
DJ Novak,
yeah.
Wilson, Angela Kinsley, Ed Helms.
Ed Helms. Probably the weakest part of the series is the Ed Helms. Yeah.
And even Ed Helms, you feel for him start his character arc all the way through. Obviously, Jim and Pam is, I think, the best and most realistic love story of any sitcom.
Ooh, I don't know. I think Pam is kind of a garbage person. Name a better couple in television other than Pam and Jim.
A realistic couple, yes.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a tough one. You put me on the spot.
People not knowing what they're doing, working together, which is the most realistic. When you work with people, they become your friends. They become your interests. So I like seeing that actually in a realistic aspect. And it takes years to form it, and they build their life in this 10 years.
Well, I think Lillian Marshall for the longest time was the best one.
Yeah, that's number 2.
That's very funny. And now that I'm looking at my list, on the list itself, I mean, Monica and Chandler, but they were kind of sleuths before they got together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you wouldn't put Uncle Joey and the college fraud together?
I'll give Al and Peggy a little run.
Al and Peggy, I mean, they never cheated on each other. And they
stuck in it.
Through thick and thin. Al and Peggy sure as hell did stick together. and they would fight. One of the best things about Al Bundy is when he would fight somebody because they disrespected his family. It's literally assault, but it was great. I love The Office. I mean, I'm trying to find things to pick at it. I think probably the worst part is when Steve Carell left, and I think there was some good interim guys. Like Idris Elba was a great addition to that series.
I love Idris Elba.
Yeah, I think he was really good to it. I think Ed Helms
wasn't bad.
Will Ferrell was okay. I think Will Ferrell was probably a little too on the nose. You know what I'm saying? Like probably just too much on there. I think probably John C. Reilly would have been better. Now tell me why The Office is better than Parks and Rec or 30 Rock or any of these shows that were really part of that staple.
It's better written, the jokes land better, and it's the smartest TV show because things that happen in season one happen in season 9. So they actually plot their whole way through. It's smart. It's intelligent writing, and it comes off in comedy.
I think, 30 Rock probably had the biggest stars on it, though. Obviously, Tina Fey and Baldwin, and then you had Tracy Morgan, and just like a bunch of stars came out of 30 Rock. I think John Krasinski obviously is going to end up being the biggest star out of the entire group, but like Parks and Rec had Chris Pratt.
Well, Steve Carell.
Oh, Steve Carell's great. I mean, Oscar nominated. That's a great call for The Office. So
those two alone kind of carry you. And then again, look, you have Ed Helms, you have Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson's really funny.
There, Will Ferrell, Idris Elba, Kathy Bates.
Really interesting that where The Office is now. If we were to put this in a and trying to just be as unbiased as possible. If we were to put this to a vote, and we were to put my 5, your 5, where do you think the votes would land if we were to end up putting these as a top 10?
If we had to put it to, I think, I'll be honest, I think I'd get 3 in the top 5, and you get 2.
Can I say the dark horse in the entire run is Scrubs on the entire 10?
No, I think that's a very dated thing. I don't think modern kids know a lot about Scrubs, I'll be honest, working with kids. I think Scrubs definitely our generation. Which I think Office would be number 1 because it spans generations. I think Friends would be 2. And then Fresh Prince. Seinfeld. Full House. How I Met Your Mother. Golden Girls would be down there. Married with Children's probably number 10.
Now, don't you think, though?
9, I'd say.
Let me ask you this. If we're doing a voting since it's an election year, I think the interesting thing is if we put these on polls, a lot of these shows would start splitting votes, though, because I think The Office, Friends, and How I Met Your Mother would all split votes. So I don't think any one of them would run away with it, and they would all have to fight each other off, and that would let somebody black in.
So you don't.
That was list-wise, but I'm talking if I was to put this on a poll, though, like let's say we were to ask people to vote, I think that would be really interesting because even though we don't see it outwardly, once you start thinking just like a delegates, like when we start talking about presidential elections and we start seeing like, yeah, they're not necessarily running on the same platform, but they're close enough where they'll split votes. Same thing here, like Golden Girls would probably split votes with like, Married with Children, because that's the closest thing to its age demographic.
Sort of, yeah. Maybe Full House, too.
So, like, to me, I think probably Fresh Prince would end up probably being the number 1 show because it won't really split votes with anything.
It would. I think I'm saying.
Maybe Full House.
Friends, then Fresh Prince.
In a vote. So you think if we put all these on there and in a vote and people split, you think The Office would still end up being number 1?
Yep.
I'm going to go.
Number 2 and Fresh Prince number 3.
I think Fresh Prince would go 1. I think The Office would go 2. I think Friends would go 3. I think because of that.
Well, if we were doing like a vote,
yeah,
I would put out The Office and not Friends. But even with that, like, yeah, there's no way. It's The Office, Friends, Fresh Prince.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. I'm just talking about, though, like, if, on an arbitrary type of way, if we were to say, all right, this is our list, vote on what you think. I think The Office would definitely get the most votes, but I think it would split a lot of votes. So I think that might cost it if, some people lean Friends, or if some people lean, like, if you give them only one choice, and he was like, you can only watch Friends or The Office, and then by their back door, something like Fresh Prince goes and beats number 1. Like, I think that's
Seinfeld's even more than Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's interesting. I always feel Seinfeld's just a little older. Like, if people aren't watching Scrubs, are they watching Seinfeld?
Like I said, it's the same people, though. Like, who's really, like, watching Fresh Prince like that?
I mean, it's one of the top shows in the UK, Netflix. Like, it's their Friends in the UK.
I mean, the number 1 Netflix show is The Office, and then Friends.
But that's in America. People in the UK don't watch The Office, our Office. They watch their Office.
I'm sure they watch both.
Yeah, and they hate ours. Generally speaking.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stay with that. That's what we do here on The Good Brothers. Good Brother, that'll be our list, so let's run it down. At number 5, I had Married with Children. The Good Brother had Full House. At number 4, I had Scrubs. The Good Brother had Blackish. At 3, I had The Golden Girls. The Good Brother had How I Met Your Mother. At number 2, I had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The Good Brother had Friends. And at number 1, I had Seinfeld. The Good Brother had The Office. Now, no matter what, all of these shows are really fun. You will enjoy them. You'll get something different out of them. And hell, it's a lot better to watch all of these than it is to put other people in danger during these crazy times while we're also trying to figure everything out. Good Brother, what did you think of our first episode of the Quarantine Files here on The Good Brothers?
It was good. I'm glad we had 10 different shows. I'm glad I had the 2, if not 3 best shows, so I would win this list, I would say.
Of course. Leave it to you to somehow make this a competition. Now, we directly cannot find out who actually wins, but you're going to walk around like you did.
I'm just saying The Office is the most rewatchable show, and it's on Netflix. Everyone has Netflix. Not everyone has cable.
What do you think the chances were that we were going to have such a opposite list?
You know what? I thought you would have been smart enough and put Friends, The Office, and How I Met Your Mother on, so I'm a little disappointed. But I do like all your picks except for The Fresh Prince, honestly.
Well, I mean, this was a list of our top recommendations, not necessarily the top best. Because if it were the best, I don't...
If we took this list, it would be Friends, then The Office, then Blackish, then Seinfeld, then probably Golden Girls.
I mean, we'd have a couple good ones, though,
Yeah,
but...
Like, we'd have to switch up the whole list if it went by, like, what's rated the highest. Well, okay, Friends would win. Okay, what's won the most awards? Okay, let's throw in Office and Blackish and Seinfeld now. We're all kind of tied for second.
Very interesting, but I guess this is just one of hopefully many we're going to do, Good Brother. What do you, I know you want to give out exactly what we have planned, but what are some things that you have going around in the brain that we could be possibly doing here on Quarantine Files?
Well, so our next one will be pretty similar. We're going to do 30-minute anime sitcoms. And sitcoms, not action-adventure. So you won't see Dragon Ball Z's or Attack on Titans or any of those fun ones like Batman and all that stuff. You're going to see more the humorous ones, and we might make that a 3 or a 5. We'll see.
What kind of... And yeah, so like, do you think it might vary from, let's say, important stuff will definitely be 5, and maybe more silly stuff will do 3, and then just kind of BS it and talk to each other and just have fun?
This list will be more your Rugrats, your Simpsons, your Futuramas, your Family Guys, your, Cat Dog, stuff like that.
So we're going to have a lot of fun with this, Good Brother. Any last words while we get ready for a busy week? So you're working from home, or you're pretty much on lockdown, right?
They have us on lockdown. They have us taken care of for the next, month and so that's good. So nothing really to worry about here.
So what are you going to be working on other than stuff for the Good Brothers? Are you going to have some more projects and stuff?
For the Good Brothers, yeah.
So we plan on having some stuff out there for the wonderful folks as they try to get through this crazy times?
Yeah, we're going to try to get dailies, if not, every other day, trying to get these lists out. And, if you don't have to go outside, people, please stay inside. Like, the only way this gets better, I know it's hard to hear, but you got to stay inside. You got to just do it now so it's not going to last 6 months.
Yeah, if you want a summer, just listen to the principals and we'll get our recess back. We just need to listen to the authorities for a few more weeks and we'll be on the other side.
Exactly.
Good Brother, thank you so much. This was a new experience. I got to give you some kudos. Not too much kudos, though, because you already have a big enough head. Absolutely not, for jumping on and doing this for the first time remotely, and hopefully we're able to get some content out for the fine folks before, as all this goes on, and then as soon as we know it, we'll be back in the movie theaters and back in the studio doing a bunch of shows.
I can't wait.
For the Good Brother, Alex Mercado, don't follow him on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Is that correct, Alex? What do you tell the fine folks?
Don't follow me.
And on Instagram at Mercado2121. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network, and on YouTube at Mercado Airwaves Network. We're playing video games like Resident Evil 3. We're going to be playing Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizon, a bunch of fun stuff to keep you guys all company. And on Facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves, we're doing live video chats. We cracked open a bottle of Tito's last night and had a little drink with all you wonderful people. on a Saturday night as we all just hung out. We'll be doing a little bit more of that. And, of course, these quarantine files with the good brother himself, Alex Mercado. And we'll do something with Nicole Mancha. She's going crazy right now. Send her absolutely all the booze. But before you send us the booze, send her some love. She was supposed to enjoy her graduation party this past weekend. Obviously, with everything going on with COVID-19, a.k.a. coronavirus, that's not happening. So some love and respect and some support will be greatly appreciated. And if not, send some hatred towards Alex. We always enjoy that. For the good brother himself, Alex.
Send it to her.
For the good brother himself, Alex Mercado.
Adios.
I'm the good brother, Mike Mercado. We'll see you in the next episode of the Good Brothers Quarantine Files Edition here on the Mercado Airwaves
Network.
Hey guys, Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. We want to thank you so much for all the support you've given us here on the network. And if you want to see what we're up to outside of the station, please follow us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. You can follow the good brother Alex Mercado on Twitter at Mercado21Alex and on Instagram at Mercado2121. The lovely Nicole Mancha is on all social media platforms at Typing When Tipsy. You can follow the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Our pop culture show, The Good Brothers, on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Our true crime shows on Instagram at Murder, Mysteries, and More. And of course, like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all our videos on YouTube.com/Mike Mercado 2333 or by searching Mercado Airwaves Network. We play video games on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And of course, you can support our network by finding a tier just for you, whether you want early access, you want to be part of polls, you want to win contest prizes, by visiting us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And we really appreciate it wherever you get your favorite podcast to like, rate, review, and share us. And please spread the word. For the good brother, Alex Mercado, for the lovely Nicole Mancha, I'm Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for all the support you've given us here on the network.